Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Marriage Culture TV, where marriage and culture intersect. So after a brief hiatus, we are back today discussing some of the topics in the book by author Gary Chapman, and that book is The Five Love Languages. So today we are discussing words of affirmation and quality time. But before we get into it, we are your hosts, Queen Athleen.
And Nikki O here. Welcome, everyone.
Hi, Nikki.
Hey, Adeline. It's been a while.
It's been a while, but we planned and we have some good things lined up, and so we're excited. So let's jump in for today.
Yes.
So our first topic is words of affirmation, and as usual, our researcher extraordinaire, Nikki, went and dug deep into what this all affirmation is about. So I'll turn it over to her for her to tell us what affirmation is all about.
Yes, and words of affirmation are any spoken or written words that confirm, support, uplift, and empathize with another person in a positive manner. Words of affirmation is, Queen A just said, it's one of the five love languages, and it's just one of the ways that are specific in giving and receiving love in a relationship. So, Queen, I'll let you take it from here.
Yes. So one of the biggies about words of affirmation is it is definitely not flattery. It's paying attention to a person's character and conduct and affirming them based on who they are and what they've done. So it's genuinely paying attention to details. It's uplifting them, boosting their ego, boosting their self-esteem based on the positive things that you have noticed. It's just appreciating someone and appreciating them genuinely. Now, sometimes when it comes to cultures, in some cultures, it's like, you're expected to just provide, or you're expected to nurture. And so you don't really expect to have anything said about it, but we're all human beings. And honestly, someone appreciating you for what you do goes a very long way. So Nikki, what's your take on that? And especially, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was listening to your question.
No, I said especially in like a cultural context, knowing that we're our background especially.
Right. Using words in a lot of cultures, depending on where you're from, it's not necessarily something that has been used in families and in relationships. So, like Queen said, you might be using words now that maybe you weren't used to using before, because you might be from a family background where you never heard words being spoken over you or about you or complimenting you or affirming you, even when you did things that were good. So it might be something new for you depending on where you're coming from, and it's something that any marriage needs. So like she was saying, coming from our background and growing up, it wasn't used that much, I would say, for words of affirmation in our culture when we were growing up. Something that we had to learn and something that we definitely use. Queen?
Yes, that is true. And I remember, especially like you're thinking about being in school, right? You're expected to do good in school. You're expected to bring home good grades. So, you may not always hear, oh, great job. Oh, wow, you did well on this project, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, mess up. And you will hear something like, and I'm going to speak parts of here, I just miss any go to school for. Meaning, is this what I sent you to school for? But and sometimes, yes, our parents do affirm us, but the way in which it's done in this society, it's much more so, right. And more details. And the subset to those words of affirmation, there are two. There are kind words and they're humble words. And I want to talk more on kind words. The Bible says in Proverbs 15:1 that a soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. So in the face of conflict or high tense situation, a kind word can do a lot to like soothe that high tense situation, can calm things down, can bring level heads, can allow level heads to prevail and have a good conversation to come out of it. You can say the same thing that you want to say, you can express your opinion, but with kinder words. And sometimes in our culture, our ego will get in the way, and rather than coming forth with a kind word, we come back with some biting words to let you know that I'm not a softie, I'm not a rug mat, and I won't just lay down and roll over. And then I know Nikki wanted to talk about humble words, which, that's her forte.
Humble words are just words, I think, that are spoken in modesty and being respectful. You have to focus on what you're saying in any relationship. So that's one of the things you want to do if you're dealing with words. And under the love language of words of affirmation, we understand how powerful our tongue is. The
Yeah.
Bible tells us that power and life lies in our tongue. It's in the power of the tongue. So knowing that we have that
Life
power.
and death.
Yeah, I was just listening the other day to Victoria Orenzi, and she was saying, that, you might not have a lot of money, you might not have fame or whatever, but you have life and death in
Mm-hmm.
your tongue. So when you're speaking to your spouse, especially in a relationship, and you're speaking to your spouse, your children, your family, you want to use words that are kind and you want to use words that are humble. The Bible also tells us that if you love someone, that you're gonna love edifies. So there's no way that you're in a relationship with someone and the only words that you can find, are words that tear
Tear
that person
down.
down, words of hate, unkind, just being mean, being sarcastic, and just using words like that. And I don't know how anyone who is in a relationship will think that those words will kind of help them, or it's going to help the relationship. So you want to use that power that you have in your mouth with your words to build that person up. And you want to be honest with it. You want to be respectful with it. And, you want to also make sure that you're kind with it. So Athleen came up with this great thing that she's going to do. I'm just going to watch her do it for you guys. She says she's going to role play so with words. So I'm gonna, role play with kind words and humble words. So Athleen, go ahead. We're watching.
Okay, okay, kind words. And I just let me touch base a little bit on what the author said. He was just like, especially with regard to humble words, that it's love make requests, not place demands. So the manner in which you express your desires is very important, just as the words that you use. So if we want to role play kind words, referring back to the scripture, a soft answer turns away wrath. One of the things, Nikki, I guess if I say to you, okay, let's think about a conflict that we had not so long ago, a few weeks back, when you you could have said, which you didn't say it this way, you could have said, Daphne, you said something to me and I really didn't appreciate it. I don't know why you would say such a thing and say it on such a large platform. Like, who do you think I am? Now, that's expressing how you feel and the contents
True.
of your message, but that's not how you said it. Rather, you said it in a way that I could receive it a little bit. But
She did receive it, trust me, with a lot of grace.
I received it with a lot of grace. But honestly, the kind words was, and she said it more along the ways of, Athleen, you said this to me, and really it hurt my feelings. I would never do that to you. I would never say that to you, and I wouldn't say it in front of a large group of people. And that made me sit back and think, I was at first, to be honest, I was a little bit defensive, like, come on now, come on. But then I had to think of her side, and I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm sorry. So her kind words, and she was very clear in expressing herself and her desires, made me to realize that, okay, I offended her, and rather than being defensive and offensive and with a
Right.
smart mouth, I just apologized, and we're able to get back on the train of unity. Now, Nikki, you role play an example of humble words.
Humble words. Okay, like, you might be having a difficult patch or things might not be going the way you want it to go in a relationship. And I'm just gonna read something. It says, I know things might feel hopeless right now, but God has so much more in store for you. You know, the person might be going through a difficult time. It might be financially, emotionally, spiritually, but you're trying to use words to uplift them instead of being like, why are you always feeling like that? Why do you think you have to be going through that? You know, come on, you're grown, you're mature, deal with it. You know, you just want to encourage that person, use kind words to uplift them and let them know that, hey, you might be going through a difficult patch. Things might not be working out the way you think, but guess what? I know that God has something great in store for you.
Yeah.
Kathleen?
Yeah, awesome. And then with humble words, was that humble words or kind words? I'm sorry. I lost track here.
I would say those are kind words.
Those are kind words. And then an example of humble words. Okay, maybe I'll ask you directly. Nikki, when you get home, take the trash out.
Okay.
So that's not humble, certainly. But how could that be turned around to reflect humble words?
I'm going to let you do that for us.
Okay. With regard to what the author says in that, love asks and not makes a ban, it could look more like, hey, Nikki, or if I'm talking to my husband, hey, babe, when you get home, can you take the trash out? I'd really appreciate that. Or, do you think you can take the trash out before you go to work? I know it's quite early in the morning. So that will come over much smoother than, hey, take the trash out. So those are humble words, making a request and not a demand.
All right.
Yeah. You have anything on that?
No, I just have another. I'm not sure if it's humble or kind, but another nice one that I think we can always use is,
Okay.
you are a true fighter.
Mm,
I know that you won't give up and you'll find a way to get through this. You
nice.
know, instead of dealing with someone who might be going through something that they've gone through before, and they're dealing with it and be like, come on, how many times are you going to go through the same thing? How many
Mm-hmm.
times am I going to hear the same story? You know, don't you think you should have dealt with it by now or overcome it? So let them know, you know what, you are a trooper, you're a true fighter, and I know you won't give up, and you're going to find a way to get through whatever you're going through. And we can also use these words for our friends, you know. Our
Yeah.
in-laws are outlaws too. You never know. You know, you could use kind words, you
You
know,
can use,
helpful words.
true, you can use kind words to turn an outlaw and an in-law into a nice in-law.
Yes. And these are also, like, you know, kind words or humble words are just also words of affirmation that you can use with someone, you know. So they can be kind words, they can be humble words, whatever it is. They're just positive words of affirmation that you're using for that person. And our next topic, I don't know if Athleen had anything in regards to
No, I
words of
don't.
affirmation. Our
No,
next
that's you.
topic is dealing with quality time. And when we did our quiz, you know, Athleen might not want you to know, but this is her number one way of her number one love language is quality time. And she has like an immense amount of knowledge on this. We could sit here for maybe the next 3 days and she could just fill us up with it. So I'm going to let her take it from here. Go ahead, Athleen.
Yes, that is correct. My primary love language is quality time. And even prior to taking the quiz, and when I saw this book many years ago and I saw all the 5 love languages, I knew right away that quality time was mine. And even in marriage, it's even more so pronounced. Quality time entails giving your undivided attention in the context of marriage or relationship, giving your undivided attention to your spouse or partner. It is togetherness, not so much proximity, it's focused attention. So like with quality time, if you're having a conversation, and I know like I go through this a lot sometimes, I want to tell my husband something and he goes, yeah, I'm hearing you. And he may be like, distracted with something, whether it's watching something or doing something. And I'm like, no, but you're not looking at me. He's like, I can hear you. I don't have to look at you. I'm like, no, but I want you to look at me. So then when I was going through this again, I'm like, oh, so that's why I'm always like bugging him, like, no, look at me. I'm like, it's not that I'm needy, but it's because it's my primary love language and I receive love, like, you
Absolutely.
know, you know, eyes on me, ears on me, giving me focused attention. And I love it when we sit and we have a good quality conversation. One of the things also I wanted to touch base on, Nikki, should I talk about the other stuff or do you want to go on? It's about my small group in church. I don't want to.
Definitely. But I just wanted to just put in right here before Athleen goes in there is that when we're talking about love languages, we just wanted to clarify or just to make it clear when we say that is her love language. When I said that's Athleen's love language, that means that is the language where she feels loved the most. So when you spend quality time with her, that's when she feels loved the most. The person who has words of affirmation, when you affirm them with positive words, humble words, modest words, just using your tongue to just edify them and compliment them, that's when they feel love the most. So if you're in a relationship with someone and after you've done the test and you say, hey, oh, this is my love language, that means that's a language when you get all of that, or when that is turned on to you by your partner, that's when you feel love the most. Go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, and it's also how you tend to show love, because it's your language. But the flip side is you got to know what your partner's love language is. So anyway, another aspect that I learned that, oh, this really is my primary love language, and you can have more than one love language, but one always stands out as a primary love language according to Gary
Right.
Chapman. So I love small groups, and I never realized why I love small groups so much in my church. It's more intimate, it's smaller, it's you get to know the people better, especially if you're in a big church. And I remember even when I was single, I would always say, oh no, I want a wedding of 50 people. I want a small wedding. When I was having my bridal shower, come on, just my small intimate circle. Remember, Nikki, because you helped to plan my shower.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't want anything big and odious, just something small and intimate, because it's more meaningful to me, because those are people, I wanted people there that I cared about, that really knew me, that knew my journey. And I didn't know at that time that I was operating in my love language, my primary love language. And so it's the same even in my small group. I love my small group. I get to know the people that come to the Bible study. I get to know their names. Some of them are much older than me, old enough to be my grandparents. But, because in those groups, you are focused on what the person is saying, and you are affirming them because you empathize with them if they're sharing something not so positive, and you really care about them. I can't even show you the amount of cards that I've gotten from my small group from some of the ladies. It's so nice. Funny enough, I can't even reach it right now, but I have a little thing in my home, and just while going through this, I realized, like, wow, I'm like talking my language all over the place. It says, together is my favorite place to be. I mean, is that my love language or what? Like, I saw it in the store and I was immediately drawn to it, and I had to grab it, and I was like, oh, yes, that's right, but that's my primary love language. And at some point, I guess Nikki will share hers when we get there.
Yeah,
but that's what I have. And Nikki, back to you.
I was loving the fact you were just going, with your love language. I can see that it's really intense for you. And like Kathleen said, with the quality times, it's when you spend quality time with them, undivided attention, not being in the room with them and you're with your spouse. So someone whose love language, like Kathleen, and we're going to use her as an example today. If you're with your spouse is say and her love language is quality time, she is not going to feel loved if you're in a room with her, or you say you're spending time with her, but you're on the phone like 24/7, or you're having a conversation with someone. And I know I understand why sometimes I'm multitasking and talking to her. And she's like, Nicola, what are you doing? I'm talking to you. And I'm like, okay, I'm just like, I'm hearing you, I'm listening to you. But she wants all of your attention at that time, and all of it. So quality time with that person is very, very important. I don't know if Kathleen had anything else she wanted to say
No,
about her.
just from a cultural perspective, we're just talking about love language. I touched the base on it a bit, that sometimes as children we learn not to be in touch with our emotional feelings based on where we come from and the family unit in which we're in. It's like, oh, mom, I want that toy. Depending on the family unit, I'm not generalizing, because oh, when you get a job, you can get it. So the child then learns not to ask for things. And, or in a classroom, I remember first when I came to the US and kids are talking back to the teacher, and it was just like, whoa, You don't tell the teacher how you're feeling. You kind of suck it up and then go complain with your little friends, in your circle. But in a society where, freedom of speech is emphasized, that's not the case. But anyway, hopefully we did justice to these topics, quality time and words of affirmation, and learning those love language. We are going to provide, I guess, the link to take the quiz, and I'll hand it back over to Nikki.
Yeah, and right before we round up this session, of course we're coming back in our next recording to do the other three love languages. One of the things that Kathleen said to me, and we kind of saw really the difference with words of affirmation. You're focusing on what you're saying, to that person. With quality time, you're focusing on what you're hearing. You're listening intensely to your partner and just trying to figure out, what are they saying? What are they trying to make me realize about them? And it's quality time is a great way for you to make sure that that relationship stays as strong as it should, because you're catching up with each other. You're learning to spend that undivided attention with each other, and you're able to grow more and more as one unit. And we've come to the end again. Hope that we were able to do a little bit of damage. Not a little bit of damage. Hopefully you were able to get a lot of information
Good
about
information.
very good information about love languages, words of affirmation that we just did, and we just completed quality time. Again, if you have not subscribed, please, this is the right time. We're giving you 3 seconds to hit that subscribe button.
Yay!
For the people that are out there struggling in relationships, this is one of the best videos that you could send to them as a gift. Hey, I'm thinking about you. I want you to watch this video. You might not be able to say something about relationships because nowadays people don't want to get into anybody's business, and everybody wants to stand back and say, hey, let them handle it. It's between them and God, or what, they'll sort themselves out. Send them some of our videos. I promise you they'll get some vital information. Send them our channel. Let them see some of the things that we've been talking about, that they'll be able to, put a little bit more vitality and a little bit more vitamin in that relationship. Again, thank you for listening to us. Thank you for joining. Thank you for subscribing, and we'll see you next time. Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Bye.